Hello and welcome to my Kotlin crash course. So in this video, we're going to be learning the fundamental of Kotlin, how to actually design application with Kotlin. So at the end of this course, you're going to be able to design exactly what you see on the screen on this Android emulator. And we got that from this design. We're going to see how we can transform Adobe XD design to a Kotlin real life application. So do make sure you hit the like button and also the subscribe button. So coming back to the Kotlin landing page, you can visit that at kotlinlang.org. You can see that Kotlin is a modern programming language that makes developers happier. Of course, it makes me happier because there are a lot of similarities with Kotlin and JavaScript, and also a lot of similarities with Kotlin and Java. So even if you're coming from Java or you're a good JavaScript programmer, you can easily adapt to using Kotlin. And Kotlin is a mobile cross-platform, so whether you are building for iOS or whether you are building for Android, you can always use Kotlin to build the application. Also runs on native codes, also supports server-side for creating a RESTful API, and also you can use it for your web development. But right now we are focused on the Android development, and let's get started. So before you move ahead to use Kotlin, the first thing you need to do is to make sure you have your Android Studio downloaded. So this is my Android Studio. I actually downloaded it, so you can go ahead and download it, but actually I'm making use of IntelliJ IDEA. So there are a lot of similarities with IntelliJ IDEA, but if you're using Android Studio, there are no worries. You can always use it to build Kotlin applications. So the first thing we have to do is to close this already open application. So I'm just going to terminate this and close that totally. And whenever you open your Android Studio or your IntelliJ IDEA, you're going to be faced with this kind of model, and you can just click on new project. When you click on new project, you can just select Android over here, select an empty activity, and when you select an empty activity, you can just click on next. Over here, you change the language from Java to Kotlin and you click finish. And when you click on finish, you are still going to be having that same empty screen that we had previously. So, but for you to make use of your Kotlin project perfectly on your Android, there is something that is very important that you must do first. You must make sure that you have your Android Studio downloaded and installed on your system, and you must make sure you have your Android SDK path in your system variable. So this is the path to my Android SDK. Go ahead and add that, and also come over to the path, click on the edit. Whenever you add your Android SDK to your system variables, use percentage Android home, percentage platform, you add the tools, the /bin, and lastly, do not forget to install Java, because right here we are also making use of Java. You can see Java home. I'm using Java 14.0.2, and just make sure you add the Java home to these system variables. And when you're done that, just click on OK, and reopen your project. You can be able to use your Android emulator without having an issue. So I'm just going to go back to open that already created application, and this is just a dummy template that you always get whenever you create a new application with either Android Studio or IntelliJ IDEA. So since we are working on the designing part of this, gradually we are going to still go to other things in Kotlin, learning how to use it to build more interactive application. But for now, we are working on the design, and there is nothing much I did here except that I made sure that everything is on the center and added a little of padding of 16 dp, and in order to make sure that everything that we are doing will be centered perfectly, just like it is on this UI, and also just like it is on the already installed application. So I think that got closed, and just like it is over here. So you can see I added a padding of 16 dp in order to make sure that everything looks fine. So enough of the talking, and let's get started. Whenever you open your application for the first time, you're going to see a text hello world at the center. So this is more like familiar with your own right now. So let's just go ahead and go through some couple of things in this environment before we can proceed to start our design. The text view is more like when you want to put a text, and that's exactly what I'm using here. And when you click on that, on the right side, you're going to see the attributes of that text. You have the ID, you also have the already existing attributes, the layout, and also you have the constraints. It's constrained to the right, top, left, and bottom. So that's exactly what you see here. You also see the height and the width, and there are also some more attributes that you can apply to it. Like we have the background color. You can actually select a background color for a text. So when I hit enter, that should apply. Okay, it didn't apply, but as we move on, you're going to see how we can apply background colors. But over here, you can see we are on the design tab, and when you click on this split, you are going to see the code and also the design. And if you want to switch entirely to the code, you can click on the code to work with the code directly. So the environment of this IntelliJ IDEA or Android Studio actually help us to interact with our application, drag and drop designs, and we also have the more of the text. We have the date, the number sign, the multi-line, and there are a lot of them there, but gradually you're going to be going through Kotlin courses in order to see how we can actually use Kotlin to build great and interactive application. We also have the buttons. We have the image button, the chip, the checkbox, and more of it. We also have the widget like progress bar, rating star, search view. We also have layout. So this layout I'm using here is called a constraint layout. And when I click on this code, you can see we're actually using a constraint layout. And we also have a guideline for the guides. We also have the linear layout whenever we want to list item. We also have for vertical and also for horizontal. And there are a lot of things there. We also have containers like recycle view. This recycle view is mainly used when you want to bring in many items, maybe from your API. You can use your recycle view. It's a cool way of rendering unending items. And there are a lot of things over here like the map view and also the grid view, the grid layouts, and also the list view. But first of all, we are going to start with the common ones, then gradually we can go over to the more advanced ones. So our main aim of this course is to make sure that we can transform the design into a real Android application. And over here you can see we have some images and icons. We have some icons and some images. So the way we can actually use this is to make sure you export this. So just hit on Ctrl or Command E. And you can choose a destination you want that to be exported to. And mine was in this Kotlin folder, and you can select that folder and hit export. So I'm just going to export that, but I already did export it, so I'm not going to do it again. So just go ahead and export all these icons. I'm going to make available this design for you on the description so you can have access to it. And when you export that, you could see most of the images that we are actually using. So what I did was to come over to your resource manager. You could see those images. It's just very simple to bring them in. Just grab this and drag and drop. So when you drag and drop, you can click on next. So you can see it's giving me a warning that I'm going to have duplicate content. So I already have the images exported. So for you, it's going to just be a drag and drop. Then you click on next and OK. And everything is going to be made available in your drawable folder over here. So you can see all the list of the images that we are going to be working with. So these are where the images stay. We also have for different, for right now, I can't remember exactly what it's all about, but I think it's for API levels, and also for the fonts. Creating a font is also very easy. Just make sure that your fonts are in lowercase, then you can just import them to this font folder. And layout is actually where all the things like the designs stays. So whenever we want to make use of a layout, we can import that layout from any file. Sorry, just include it to our activity main file. So you can see I'm using a home layout here. I created a home layout file, and my target was just to make sure that I included it here, and I added the background color of 70D03. So this is exactly the background color that we are using on this one. So when you click on this, it looks the same, but or we can just go ahead and copy that so that we can have the same background color. So I can just paste that over here. So you see we have that same background color. And over here you can see the map showing me that we are using that same background color. And also the layout is coming from the layout folder /home. Now what launches our application is in the main activity. So the main activity works with the R layout activity main. This is used to specify the current layout that we want to work with. So take for example, I want to change this. I can change this to home, and you can see the home layout over there, but let's stick to activity main. So whatever we want to do over here, we can come over and do it, like hide the action bar. You can quickly hide the action bar using the support action bar. .hide is a global function that works generally when you import it. It's not even import, but it's more like a global function. If you're familiar to using JavaScript, splice, you can see that sometimes you don't even need to import anything, but they still work perfectly. So right now, let's go ahead and start off our design. So guys, each layout file has a constraint layout. So a constraint layout is more like a flexible layout, just like we saw in the android.main XML file before we included the home file. So you can see we have the constraint layout. So I also forgot to tell you that the context we're using is the main activity, which actually uses this file to run our application and render the layout for us. So inside that, we are going to have another constraint layout, and I'm going to break this down quickly. And each layout, you can give a layout an ID, so it's usually very good to give it an ID. Take for example, this a layout, and also this a layout. This is also a layout. So giving it an ID makes you constrain this to be under this. So I'm just going to give it an ID of this cover, and here we can give it a match parent, and also here we can wrap content. So wrap content means it should not have a fixed width or height, but it should just stay together with the content, else we give it a padding to space it out. So I'm just going to constrain that, so you can just constraint, we can say start to start off. So I can just select this to start off parent. So I think this has an ID. Okay, the ID there was at. So guys, sorry for this mistake. At body, and also we have to constrain we have the start, and also we have to end of the body. We also have top to top of parent. So the parent is the previous body as well, so I can just put parent over there. So that gets rid of that red squiggly line that was showing us an error. So the next thing we have to do right now, instead of it, we are going to have another layout. So let me just quickly do that. We're going to have another constraint layout. I can just go over to the design. I can just drag and drop this so that we don't waste much time. And in this design, we can just, let's bring this down. And going back in that design, we can go over to this component tree, and I can just go over to the text and drag in a text view, and also drag in, and so we have an image view. So I can just come over to I think the widget, click on the image view, just drag and drop and select this image and click on OK. So when you do that, you can just come over to this. And why we have this error is still because we have not yet constrained that. So constraining it, just like we did on this one, we can constrain, we can say start to start off parent, and also top to top of parents, and that will constrain that and get rid of that error. So we are having an error here because this one is not a constraint. So come over to the design, you can just zoom this in. So this one goes to the right. So what you have to do is to bring this one over here, constraint to the right, constraint to the left, and we can give it a think it's already okay because the general body has a padding of 16. So this one, constrain it to the right, but what you have to do now is constrain the top to the top of the text view so that automatically it comes to the top. So this one has a text. Let's go over to the code. It has a text of, let me just break this down. So this one is a text of discover, and it's going to have a text font weight of 600, and also it's going to have a text size. Okay, we already have a text size there, so this is a hint of discover, not text. So for the text size, we can change it to 24 dp, and can just break this down, can just get rid of this. Also, this is a text discover. So guys, this is the first time I'm actually teaching a Kotlin course, so try to flow along with me and understand. And we already have that set. We have font size. We can give it a text color of black, so we can say text color of 000, and also we can give it a font family of Poppins bold, and we can give it a layout width. The layout width, would it actually make sense to have a layout width? I don't think so, because this kind of looks normal the way it is. So we don't need a layout width, but everything looks good. So for the image, we are going to have a height and width of 50 dp. So you can come over to this place and search for width, and it's going to give you a layout width of 50 dp. You can just hit enter, and it's going to automatically resize that image. So you can also constrain this to the bottom of this so that they stay on the same position. And if you can see, all of them are inside this constraint layout. So let's just remove these constraints and come over to the code. So the height over here, we can just change it to wrap content, because we don't want a height or a width. We want this one to match the parent, so that we don't have this longish height that is going to occupy the remaining of the screen width. So we are done with the first part, and you can see it kind of looks like exactly what's at the top there. So the next thing we have to do now is to add another constraint layout at the bottom of this one. So coming over to the code. So this one is going to also be a constraint layout, and it's going to have an ID of search container. So I think I misspelled that, an ID of search container. And we have match parent and also wrap content. And inside that, okay, let's go ahead and give it a margin bottom, layout margin bottom of 32 dp, and also constraint the top to the bottom of the previous container. So we can say top to bottom of discover, so that it comes under this discover constraint layout. Then inside there is going to have our search box. So our search box also, this one is going to have a constraint layout. Then inside there we're going to have the image with the search box and also an image at the end. It's going to have an ID of search wrapper. Here we have match parent, and here we have wrap content, and inside there we are going to give it a background color. Let me say, I think Android background of. So for the background, we are going to create a drawable file. So I think I already created that. I'm just going to select that. I think I called it background of rounded. think it's called rounded edit text. So then we are going to give it an orientation of horizontal and give it a padding vertical of 8 dp, padding left of 10 dp, padding right of 20 dp. So we already constrained. Okay, we've not yet constrained that, but let's go ahead and do it quickly. So the top is going to be constrained to, let's start with the top. So I can say top of the previous container, which is the search container, and also start of search container. And we also have end to end of search container. So for the bottom, we are still going to fix that, but for now it's not an issue. So inside there is going to have these search boxes. So the first one we have to do is to make use of an image view. So I'm just going to split this. Okay, use the design actually. So inside the search wrapper, we can bring in an image view, and we have to select the search image. So let's split that again. You can see that image over there, and this image we are going to constrain it. So I'm just going to draw this, zoom this a little bit in, constrain it to the top, left, and the bottom so that it actually stays on the center. I'm going to reduce this again and zoom this out a little bit. So we can just break this down and also break this down. So inside this, we have constrained that we have to give it a layout width of 14 dp and also a layout height of 14 dp. So you have seen how we can add an image and also use an image within a linear layout. So the next one, we can bring in a linear layout. So I can just bring in a linear layout. So I think we need an orientation over here because this thing is going to go to the left. So coming back at this previous container, we can just add an orientation. Okay, we already have an orientation horizontal, so we don't need to add that again. We can just break this down and we can just go ahead and cover that. So it's going to wrap content, and for the height it's going to wrap content because we are going to put the edit text inside of it. And for the wrapping, for the constraint, I mean, we have to constrain bottom to bottom of the parent, start to start of the, we have to, okay. So guys, look at what we can do right away. Let's go ahead and add the edit text before we complete that. So we can just, for the edit text, it's going to have a width and a height. So for the width and height, we can give it a 308 dp because we want it to have a little bit of spacing and also a height of 44 dp. And we can give it a background of color slash, we have transparent. So I think I have transparent color. Oh, I think it starts with at Android color slash transparent, and we can give it a hint of find a service, and you can see that is actually getting in shape, and we can give it a padding, sorry for that guys, a padding of 10 dp and a text color hint of b4 and also a text size of 18 dp. So you can see we already have this nice looking interface. So let's go ahead and manually constraint this linear layout to the left icon. So I'm just going to zoom in and I can just drag this and constraint it over here. So you can see automatically it gives us a very nice space. And one more thing that's remaining is the last image. So we've already seen how we can add an image. So I'm just going to copy and paste that so that we can move along. So you can see we have this nice looking interface with a search. So let me just kind of zoom that a little bit in. You can see we have the search box, the icons and at the left and also at the right. So the next thing we have to add right now is the services. Then we have these icons. So that would be very simple as well. And let's just go ahead and do that. So what we just did is to add a linear layout, add the match parent to take the width, the total width, and also the wrap content, and then we give it a margin 23 that you can see over here, and then constrain it to the top, to the end of the parent, and also the start of the parent. Then constrain the top to the bottom of the search container. And the next thing we have to do is to add a text. So we already know how to add a text, and let's go ahead and do that. And you can see we have the text, the services. We constrain it to the start of the parent and also to the top of the parent so that it takes the container that is actually inside of, and give it a font size and also a font color. And the next thing is to add these icons. So these icons, I think we should just do it together so that we can actually understand it. Although that we are going to first of all do the first one, then the other one we are just going to bring them in quickly. So what we will do is to add a constraint layout, and we are going to give it a layout width of match the parent and also a layout height of wrap content. Then we can give it a layout margin top of 25 dp and align the items to horizontal, the orientation to horizontal. Then we can give it a padding left of 10 dp, and then last thing is to constrain it to this service text that we have above here. So the ID here is service text, so I can just say top to bottom of service text, and it's going to properly align that. And inside there we can bring in an image view. So I'm just going to put down the first image, then we bring down the remaining ones. So this image view is going to have a layout width of wrap content and also a height of 42 dp. Then we can give it an ID. So for the ID is going to be just a random image ID. So I'm just going to give it an image, let's say image view 7. Then we can constrain the bottom to the bottom of parent so that it's going to stick to the bottom of the parent container, and also the start to start of parent as well. Top to top of parent, and lastly we are going to give it an app source. So the let me say source. So the source is going to be coming from this one is the source compact. I think we are going to be using the app source compact. So I don't actually know why this is not Okay, then we can refer to the drawable folder and select a house image. So this is the first icon, and that's the first icon from this one. So quickly, let's just go ahead and bring in the other icons. And you can see we have exactly what we have in our design in this services section. The next part is to add this layout. So this layout is like, we have a constraint layout, then which is going to be horizontal, and then we have a text view, but this one is going to be having a linear layout in a vertical direction, and inside here we also have a linear layout in a horizontal direction. Actually, you can actually use linear layout or also a constraint layout, but any layout is going to work, but it's going to just be very simple because the first one here is that this is going to be a horizontal layout. So let's go ahead and add that quickly. So inside of here, we are going to bring a constraint layout, and we can break this down, and let's give it an ID of human, and here I can just match parent, and here I can wrap the content, and we can just go ahead and close that tag. So we can constrain the top to the bottom of services so that it stays below the services container. Then inside of it, we are going to have a constraint layout, and it's going to have a match parent and also a wrap content with an ID of human, let's say human wrapper. Then it's going to have a top margin, so we can say margin top, a layout margin top of 34 dp, and also a margin bottom of 29 dp. Then we can give an orientation of horizontal, just like I said, because everything is going to the left. Give it a padding, a general padding of 24 dp, and also a layout constraint top, so we can set it top to top of the parent container. So you can see automatically that pushes down, and inside of there we are going to have this image container. Since everything is already on aligned to horizontal, so I'm not going to waste time on this, so I'm just going to grab the codes. So you can see that round human icon over there. So the next one is going to be a linear layout, because we have the text view and also another linear layout that has the icon and the text view. So I've already showed you how you can use a linear layout. I'm not going to waste time on that again. I'm just going to grab it and put down. And lastly, you can see we have the icon left, and that's it. We have that nice layout that we got from here. So let's kind of zoom in to actually see how that looks like. So when we zoom in, you can see exactly that layout is exactly what we have over here. The next one now is adding this image. So this image over here, if you check in the original application, this has a scroll view, and also this has a scroll view. So what you're going to do next now is to make use of a scroll view, which is very simple as well. I'm just going to come over to the layouts, I think the containers, and then you can see the scroll view, and you just drag it under this human container, and automatically the scroll view is over there. So let's split the code and check. You can see the scroll view, and the scroll view usually comes with this default linear layout, but if there are necessary changes, we are going to see how we can change everything to look very good. So the way you can format your code is click on code and hit on R. Automatically it's going to format your code. And let's go ahead and give it an ID. So I'm just going to give it an ID of first scroll view. And beneath here, we can give it a fill viewport. So fill viewport means take the remaining width and height that is remaining for our screen. And the next thing is to have scroll bars, and we can set that to none. So I think we also disable the scroll bar from main activity, but in case you forgot to disable it, this is still going to work, so you don't need to worry about that. And the next thing is to give it a margin top of 29 dp. Can constrain the bottom to the bottom. So we say bottom to the bottom of parents. Then we have start of parent. And then lastly, we can constrain the top to bottom of human. So the human over there is exactly this human we have in the component tree. So that's exactly this container you see over here. So the scroll view, why is it not constrained there? So we have this here. So that error seems to persist. So what we can do is maybe we can give this a 300 dp height, and actually that it changed it. So I don't know why the field viewports didn't actually work, but anyways it still worked. But we have a very nice looking interface. The next thing we have to do is to add this image view. So we have already seen how to add an image, so I just did export this as a single image as a PNG and brought it into the resource manager. So just import that. So inside our linear layout, we can just paste that down and you can see that image. So whenever we are using, and we should have a separate ID over here because it shouldn't be an image view just like that. So I can just change this to double E so that we don't get that error. But because we want everything to be in the center, we have to give this a gravity of center, and it's going to align everything to the center. You could see right now we can scroll inside that container. So beneath this image in our design, we have this container over here with show cars and cars. We have already seen how we can use a constraint layout to actually add layout. So I'm just going to grab that quickly, and you can see we have that show cars and container. So the last part is we are going to be using a horizontal scroll view to actually do this design. But for this design, we are not going to touch the navigation because right now I want us to understand the basic concept of designing with Kotlin and also working with your IDE. So the next thing we have to do right away is to bring in a horizontal scroll view. So over here, I'm just going to go over to design. And I think we can find that in containers, and beneath this first scroll view, we can just bring in horizontal scroll view. So horizontal scroll view is going to be at the bottom. Then we are going to give it a field viewport to true. And let's format our code. So that means that inside here we are going to have a linear layout because we have two image views. So I'm just going to close this properly and break it down. Then inside this linear layout, the orientation is going to be horizontal because the items are actually scrolling to left and right. And then we can bring in the images. Right now you can see we have that interface with this horizontal scroll view. So we are done with our interface, and let's kind of zoom our application from the design tab, and you can see everything looks properly arranged. So let's go ahead and test run our application by selecting the emulator. So for you to have an emulator, come over to AVD manager, and over here you can create a virtual device and select your phone and select the phone type and click on next and create one AVD emulator. Then the next thing you have to do is to, when that is done, start the application by selecting the emulator you want to use and click on play. So when you click on play, it's going to automatically start the application. So everything is going to be for you on the GitHub in case you run into errors. So guys, we have actually come to the end of the course. So do make sure to hit the like button and also the subscribe button, but let's allow our application to actually run to see our results. I'm just going to close the previous one and allow the current one to open. So I'm just going to close this. And whenever your application is running, you can see your Gradle is actually building. So you can allow this to actually build, and when it's done, it's going to launch the application and install everything. And when that is installed, you're going to get this, I think it's a snack bar that is going to pop up to show you that your app is installed. And when you open your Android emulator, you can see that app is open. So we have actually completed the design that we found on UpLabs, and also we have used it to learn how to design with Kotlin. So in the frequent videos, you are going to be using Kotlin to build more interactive and more beautiful applications. So guys, do not forget to hit the like button and also the subscribe button, and see you on the next video. Bye bye.